On September 24th, a few days ago, the Thornton Township south of Chicago held another special board meeting, and it got out of hand like all the other meetings. A little backstory for this video. The supervisor of the Thornton Township, Tiffany Henyard, has come under intense fire for pilfering municipal bank accounts like San Francisco youth pilfer local pharmacies. Her lawyer's response was that Tiffany is a naive newcomer to politics, a victim of her village administrator, Keith Freeman's dastardly klepto-grooming. No one with an IQ over 80 believes that, but Tiffany has pressed on with her claims that she remained under the control of human douchebag-trafficker Freeman. If you thought Tiffany Henyard couldn't possibly stoop to a new low, listen up. Hello out there. I am trying to get through.
With cold, blunt analysis cradled in the warmth of reasoning, it's time for Johnny Walker Dread to straighten you out on a thing or two. Emanating all the way from exciting Las Vegas, Oklahoma, it's time for the Johnny Walker Dread Show.
We're going to be hearing from Carlile. Who is she? Well, she is one of the township's trustees, but back when Tiffany was conducting daylight bling raids on conference trips, she was Tiffany's assistant, charged with taking care of Tiffany's expenses. Because Carmen recently jumped ship and is now willing to stand up for herself, Tiffany has decided to target her for her harassment as well. So Tiffany is asking the board to pass a motion to have Carmen's use of Keith Freeman's credit card investigated. This is right out of Joseph Stalin's playbook.
Comrade, I see your signature on the letter.
But I signed the letter because you told me it would please Comrade Stalin.
Comrade Bloken, take our enemy of the people into the cellar.
All right, next on the agenda is there a motion to conduct a forensic audit/investigation of Keith Freeman's credit card and Carmen Carlile use of said card? Is there a motion? Motion. Is there a second? Second. Then motion second, any discussion?
Yes.
Right, go ahead.
So I want to say, unlike Supervisor Henyard,
There's little doubt that Tiffany put this on the agenda to shake Carmen up. Well, Carmen refused to be intimidated and blasted Tiffany with what Napoleon would have described as an old-fashioned whiff of grape shot. So they're going to take a vote on it, but Carmen wants to speak up, and she's going to really tear into Tiffany Henyard's spending on these trips. Listen up.
I am happy to talk about any investigation. I welcome any investigation about any expenditure in Thornton Township's finances. I have no problem sitting down and talking to an investigator about any of the purchases I made on behalf of Thornton Township or Supervisor Henyard and the multiple trips I booked for her, the expensive the hotel suites, the first-class flights, the expensive dinners, the different amenities that she received that were provided to her on behalf of Thornton Township residents. And yes, as she stated, I was her assistant, so I was on many of those trips. I was told by her to make sure she had 2 trips booked a month, nothing under 3 or 4 days. And I think that anybody who wants to know, any investigator who asks any questions should have any information about any trip, including but not limited to the shirts, the paraphernalia, flyers, and the promotional items that have been paid for with her face and her image on it by Thornton Township, details about her transportation, the travel plans, information about her security that she demanded to go with her everywhere she went. I welcome any investigation into any expenditure involving Tiffany Henyard and Keith Freeman's credit card. And I'm sure that Keith will also be happy to answer any questions about this too, because again, we're open to being honest and transparent about anything that we've done for Thornton Township. And not to mention that Tiffany Henyard wasn't the only person that benefited, but Mr. Woods was there and many other people was there on this trip. And I'll be happy to discuss any of this about to anybody. And again, I think since we're talking about it, Lori Lightfoot did such a great job in Dalton. I would love her to kind of do the same thing here at Thornton Township. So yes.
Bringing up Lori Lightfoot is what I would call spiking the ball. You've scored the touchdown, you've done the dance, and then right in front of the defender, you drive the football straight into the ground.
I would like to have an investigation. I'll sit down and answer any question about any trip I booked on behalf of Supervisor Henyard as her assistant, yes.
sure that I got this correct.
You don't. I mean, there's no need for any more input from you, Tiffany. You don't. But you'll open your pie hole anyway.
You was not my assistant here.
You was not my assistant. That's right. You was not my assistant. This is an elected official talking. And yes, she was your assistant.
Here at Thornton Township. So why are you using Thornton Township credit card? So that's number one. Number two, let's talk about your entanglement with Keith Freeman. Let's open the door so everyone knows what's going on with Thornton Township.
Tiffany fires back with the kind of rebuttal you find among middle school girls. I mean, if you're going to accuse Keith Freeman and Carlile of engaging in hanky-panky, come out and say it, Tiff. Innuendo is for cowards. Is there any truth to the Freeman-Carlile relationship? Given that this idea passed through Tiff's lips, probably not. I don't think Tiff can utter a truthful statement even by accident.
If we gonna tell it, we gonna tell the truth.
Okay, then we gotta get into everybody business.
All these lies and all these things, people like that now, right? And say that people said this, people did that, and that's fine. I'm used to it. You at the top, so when you at the top, you get all these bums looking for crumbs, attacking you every time. And it's sad because she went on a trip, Keith Freeman went on a trip, and everybody want to attack people, but what did y'all do on the trip? Please, the part of your mind is so all I'm saying to everybody is, stop trying to make it like it's something bad, and I just want to clear it up for those that don't understand. We have a budget for travel. I've said this several times. Y'all can keep on.
It doesn't do any good to have a budget if you're going to break it. There is no way in hell that you had a $47,000 budget for your conference trip to Austin. I tallied how much your trip to Austin should have cost, and it was around $12,000. If you want to see my video on this, click on the link. And I was being generous. What kind of travel budget has a line item titled Personal Gifts for Oneself? And by the way, Tiff, I've known quite a few mayors and supervisors who don't have to fend off entire battalions of attacks like you. Because they behave better than you. They don't steal. They don't lie. They don't insult. And above all, they don't treat the people around them with utter contempt.
I've said this several times. Y'all can keep on putting in the cameras on the news. Everyone travels. We even for other towns, just to show you that every single person travels in their communities. And when you go, you should learn something.
Sure, if you go on a conference trip, you should learn something. For $47,000, you could have enrolled at the University of Chicago for an entire semester of learning, if that's what the trip was really all about. I seriously doubt they attended no more than 2 or 3 presentations, if that. Instead, they lit the town up shopping and eating. They probably showed up at the registration desk, got their name badges and their book bags, then hightailed it out of there to go play. Who in here really thinks that Tiffany and company stayed inside conference hall, attending one workshop after another for 4 straight days?
Because at the end of the day, you have to educate yourself on how to run government and what to do as relates to government.
Here's where she screws up. Her entire defense against charges that she overspent was that she didn't know how government works and that she relied on Keith Freeman to sort it out for her. He was to blame for her overspending because he was the knowledgeable one. She didn't know any better.
Keith Freeman made the decision on how these funds are being used. Keith Freeman is going on these trips. You understand, this is a new mayor. This is someone that is new to this job.
But she never thought, hey, I shouldn't fly first class. I shouldn't stay at the Four Seasons.
If there was a problem with any of that, if that's not how you're supposed to do it, she relied on Freeman to tell her. He's telling her this is how we do things.
But Keith Freeman said that buying Gucci handbags with the township credit card was okay. How was I supposed to know?
But now she's trying to portray herself as the know-all be-all of politics, like she's one of the Kennedys. Does she look like a Kennedy?
And it's said that people have to take it and twist it for bad because people get frown because they didn't go on the trip or they got an attitude about it or whatever the reason may be. But at the end of the day, it is a budget for travel. So people need to stop trying to make it like it's something someone did wrong because it's not the case.
Yeah, the criticisms of her overspending is by those who didn't get to go on the trips. They're just jealous of Tiffany. Right out of middle school. But then again, what would they be jealous of? If those trips were really business trips, where time was spent going to presentations and not about having tons of fun, who would be jealous of that? Again, Tiffany undermines her own argument. In truth, these conferences were junkets. Tiffany all but admits it when claiming that others were envious of her ability to go on them. Next, Chris Gonzalez and Tiffany get into a tussle that is hard to make out. We'll skip ahead.
The initial agenda, that was funny. I know this is put on the agenda because of our closed session item. So when we got the original agenda, this wasn't on there. But when she saw what we put for closed session, she added this, which again, I'm open to any investigation about anything I did as her assistant. But as her assistant, one thing she always said to everybody who worked for her, and there's a bunch of people that can attest to you, when you work for Tiffany, you work for her brand. You don't work for an entity. That's what she always told us. So I was demanded to work.
This is very believable. The idea that Tiffany would have people working on her brand is the most believable thing to come out of Illinois since Lori Lightfoot divulged that Tiffany was draining Dalton's bank accounts.
7 days a week, almost 18 to 20 hours a day. And I'll get a chance to talk about that. That's not the time or place, but for her to sit here and say that, I wasn't her assistant, and why was I spending money on behalf? And excuse me,
Notice that Tiffany there is egging on people from the crowd to interrupt Carlile's speech. Take a look at what Tiffany is doing here.
excuse me, but again,
As the mayor, she's supposed to be actually suppressing this kind of banter from the audience. Instead, she's encouraging it. Now, if those people were doing this to her, it would be a lot different. It's ridiculous that trustee Carlile has to call security. That's supposed to be Tiffany's job. But instead, she's stoking it. Now trustee Carlile is trying to get the mayor to shut this thing down, and the mayor is doing nothing.
Remember that, Supervisor. Hi. Trustee Carlile. I'm sorry, what are we voting on? Yes.
By the way, who are these people? These are the paid shills of Tiffany Henyard. They show up to basically interrupt the proceedings. A lot of them are the big bingo players who are concerned that the Board of Trustees will take away their favorite pastime, getting free stuff from the township.
All right, moving on next, is there a motion to conduct a friendly audit investigation on all departments and all items?
This is one of the problems that these township and village meetings have. It's the person in the audience who thinks he or she, and it's usually a she, has the magic words that, once yelled from the back of the room, will set everyone straight. Tiffany will have no choice but to say,
"Oh man, you in the back. You got me there. I don't know how I'll recover from this mortal blow."
Au contraire. All the banter from the peanut gallery works in Tiffany's favor. She loves it when the audience explodes. She is quite adept in working within the environment and allows her to escape when the heat is turned up. Stay tuned for more Tiffany, as this latest township meeting was a gold mine of comedy and sadness. Like my video and subscribe to my channel.